All right. Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. Police misconduct, meaning police shootings, police lawsuit settlements, have cost taxpayers over $300 million. Let that sink in. $300 million. Let's talk defunding that. Now, before we get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. And this is so astounding as we look at police. The reason why we have police protests all over the nation, in fact, really all over the world, stems from the unjust police misconduct, which includes the shootings, killings, usually of unarmed Black people. Let me also say that there is also unarmed white people getting shot, not in the numbers that unarmed Black people are getting shot. They're without a doubt over the history of America's policing. African Americans have been targeted unjustly, racially profiled. Well, I'm not going to focus so much on that, even though there's a key factor as to why we keep having these instances, and even now, why you have Black Lives Matter protests all over the world. Critics of Black Lives Matter try to lump in the looters and people who are tortured and burning, and that's another discussion because that we're not telling the entire story with that. In other words, there's protesters and then there's looters, and they're two separate things. But go back to the cause. This, I believe it was Friday, Thursday or Friday, the Louisville or Kentucky Attorney General announced that there would be no really significant charges against, or indictments, I should say, against the police officer who shot Breonna Taylor. Very controversial case in terms of why the DA, watching that DA to me was almost like watching the DA during the Michael Brown case, how like in both cases, they just purposely said, we're going to steer a non-indictment. But guess what? While people are outraged, it's sparking more protests. The city paid out $12 million. Now, so just think about that. The city paid out $12 million. When you kind of go back into different police payouts, some of these figures are staggering. As I said, in 2019, they have paid over $300 million. And that, of course, comes in most of the major cities. But when you go around across the nation in smaller cities, it add up $300 million. Now, since the I'm reading this thing right here. Allocated funds, $100 million in 2020. All right, I'm not going to go in that. But it's a staggering. I'm looking at one amount here. I think it's 2020 Chicago. I think it's time to read this one here. I'm going to read this. For notice of claims and lawsuits filed against New York City, the Mayor's Office of Management and Budget allocates funds every fiscal year, $700 million in 2020 and $697 million in 2019 for payouts. Now think about that. In New York City, they're allocating $700 million for payouts. That should be enough for everyone to say, why are we paying this money out? I'm not a fan of the phrase defund the police. I thought it was a poor phrase, branding, I should say, poor branding. Because anytime you have to spend more time explaining what your statement doesn't mean, wrong branding, wrong phrasing. Oftentimes what they meant by defunding the police was reallocating, right, reforms, which to me they should have said it. But I will say this, what they should defund is this outrageous police payout. Think of the money where this could have went. Think about the resources. They're paying these astronomical amounts of money because their police officers are killing people. And not only killing people, these payouts includes misconduct. So you beat somebody up, you put somebody up, you injure somebody, false arrest, suing for false arrest. How can you stop this? Well, first of all, you have to kind of understand this payoff. There is a huge disconnect between police payouts and the police officers. There's no incentive for them to change. The Kentucky Attorney General just sent that message to their police force that you can literally mess up. The Breonna case, and now you hear back and forth in terms of, was she a drug dealer and all of the kind of stuff, which in itself is diabolical, but that's why you're paying out $12 million. See, that's why that city is paying out. That's why Kentucky is paying off $12 million. And by the way, Kentucky is one of the poorest states. They can't afford to be paying off $12 million. At least the city of Louisville can't be. They really can't afford to pay out $12 million. You see how ridiculous that is? And here is the problem. That payout, the $12 million payout, means absolutely nothing to the police officers. You know why? Don't affect them, right? Those police officers get to live to kill again, right? Slap on the wrist. In fact, the charges that were the indictment that came with, which is probably not going to mean anything, was to a guy who shot in the wrong house, not the person who actually shot bullets into Breonna Taylor. But we could go on across, right? Other payouts. George Floyd, Philando Castile, John Crawford, Tamir Rice, all of these different cities who are paying out millions. See, how can we defund that? One, there's a thing called qualified immunity. And this is what the AG in Kentucky just kind of enforced. The problem is that when police officers have misconduct, here's the problem with this. They're not held accountable. Or you get a slap on the wrist. Let me tell you quickly how you can defund this, because the way you can defund it is that you have to curb the behavior. You have to stop the behavior. One other point before I say this too, a lot of these police officers who live to kill again are repeat offenders. You go back and do criminal history on these police officers. For example, the guy who is believed to have shot the fatal shot in Breonna Taylor was fired from the Lexington Police Department. They said, bad dude, shouldn't be a cop. Louisville hired him. Same thing, if you go back to Tamir Rice, the police officer that killed Tamir Rice came from another police department where, guess what? Police chief said, this dude should not be a police officer. And more than often, this is what you see with these police who are costing the taxpayers millions. They are repeat offenders. And here's the problem with this. The problem with this is that hurt them. Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you the easiest way to stop and defund that big fund. Hold police officers accountable. This is what I mean. They don't need police training. They don't need sensitivity training. Here's what: remove the immune, qualified immunity. Remove that. Hold them responsible. See, if they went to jail, if they lose their pensions, if they're held financially responsible, they're going to be more careful about that. You see that the Breonna Taylor case was, you got it wrong. And an innocent life died because of that. They should be held accountable. And when police officers know I'm going to lose my pension, I'm going to lose my freedom, they will be extremely careful about how they police. That's my perspective. If you have a thought or comment, please add it to the comment section below. And don't forget to like and share this video. And as always, subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. Till next time, I'll see you then.